Hey everybody, I am John Barker and welcome to another episode of Here Records Show and Tell. Today we're going to take a look at how we deal with intermissions and breaks during a live stream. And we think that people who sit at home should know what's happening when the next talk's going to start and some information if something is delayed. So we like to give them text on the screen during a break or before the whole production starts so they can keep up to date with what's happening. So first of all, I'm going to show you what we use. And let me just go to the right place here. There we go. So this is the Windows 10 development board. It's called the Latte Panda, and I'll just put a link to this in the description. But basically, it's just a small board that sits inside of our rack case, and it just runs Windows 10. You could use any Windows 10 computer for this, or whatever computer you want to use. A lot of people use Mac Minis and stuff, but I find them just to be a little bit bigger than what I wanted. So I've went for this little development board, and it's just sitting inside this case. Takes up no space at all, and it just runs Windows 10. I've got a wireless keyboard that I use to control it. So first of all, let's take a look at that and see what we use to make this happen. So I've got what I call this little break code file here. And if I just copy all of that and jump over to the terminal, and I'll just paste it in there and I'll show you what it actually is. So this piece of code basically takes the application Chrome and puts it in a kiosk mode, full screen. So that means you don't see anything around the top or the bottom, everything just goes away, and it goes to this URL, which is heretorecord.co.uk/break. Basically that's just a URL that we've chosen, and if I just run that, it will launch Chrome, go to that URL, and it will open up the page that we want to open up, and it may take a few seconds to do that. My internet's just running a little slow today, it would seem. I've also put a password on this page, just if anyone pops into that page. There's nothing really there to see if an event isn't happening, so I've just put a password on there, and let's head back over and see if that's come up yet. Yeah, so there's the password section. I'll just skip that. It already knows the password on this computer. So in this case, I have what you can see is the text that we display for anyone who tunes into the live stream. So thanks for tuning in. The first talk starts at this time. And then it's nice not only to have the time, but also to have a reference for the time zone as well. So that's why we put in the time, 15:30, but also this is Central European time, or UTC +1, so people can figure out what is happening. And one other thing we put in there, and I'll show you in a minute, is a countdown timer. But I've turned it off for now, and I'll show you how that works in a second. And you can also see what's coming up in the schedule. So coming up is this talk by Paddy Conway, and then a little later we have this one by Steve Noonan. So that is what the slide itself looks like. The reason we've done this in a browser is because it's editable on other computers. So that little Latte Panda can just sit inside this this rig, and I never really have to do much with it other than start it up and hit refresh every once in a while, and I can use my my computer or any other computer I want to update the information that's written on that slide. So now let's take a look at, if I can remember which one I put it on. Yeah, there we go. Back to the computer again. And if I head over to, this is the website itself. So inside of Squarespace is what we use to host our website. We have the same information. You can see it there. Thanks for tuning in, blah, blah, blah. And this is all just HTML and CSS for how it looks. A little logo at the bottom for, usually the conference logo goes there, but in this case I've just put Here to Record's logo. And if I just edit this page, you can see at the bottom here, there's another little script. And in here, I can set a date and a time. So let's say the 15th at, what time should I say? Let's say 1300 PM. And what that will do is if I just save that, and then I head back over to my break screen that I just showed you. This is the Latte Panda. Oh, good, I broke it. This is always the fun about showing things live. Oh yes, of course, this is AM, PM, 24-hour clock. So let me fix that. Refresh one more time, and you will see, there we go, a countdown timer. So as you can see, what I set 1:30 as the time, it's 26 minutes away. So I find this to be pretty useful for people who tune in live. They can just see that little countdown timer. Sometimes things get delayed and you can always add a few minutes onto it or take a few minutes off. But it's a really good reference to see how long they may have to wait before the next talk starts again. So heading back in there, that's what the live stream viewers can see. Now, personally, I don't think that's enough. I like to also include some sort of angle from the actual presentation. So what I've done is set up a macro inside of the ATEM software. So if we head over there to the ATEM software, you can see here in the little macros panel, we have break start and break end. So this lets me do a number of things, and I think the best way for me to do that is just to show you what actually happens. So if I put up the multi-view, if I show you the screen, I've just named it GoPro here, but if I go to break start, what you can see, for example, in the audio tab is, here we go, if I click break start, the audio volume goes down, so that's the master audio volume, it goes all the way down, and break end, the master audio volume goes all the way up. And also if I head over to the switcher panel, you can see in break start, a few different things are going to happen here. The first thing that's going to happen is that it will change some cameras, make sure that the transition is set to fade, and it will start to break. So I can just show you what that looks like now. So you can see a bunch of things happening there, and I'll break end. And what I want to do is call up the multi-view. Yeah, so now what you can see is you can see me, and then over there you can see the program of what the viewers would see. So let's hit those break start and break end again. So what's going to happen is that it will call up my wide angle shot, which is the one that's over top of the head, and it'll also fade on the Latte Panda break screen, as I like to call it. So here we go, we press play on that. And there you are. So you can see now that the viewer at home will be able to see this. Thanks for tuning in, and they'll see the wide angle shot. So often I'll set that up in the auditorium, and it's a nice way just to show the viewers what's happening. They can see the speakers preparing their notes up in the slideshow just in the background. They can't hear them. As I said, I turned down the audio, but you can at least see the people moving around. You can see that things are getting ready for the conference to start. And then once the conference is ready to start, I hit that break end macro. And then when that plays, what it does is it fades out the Latte Panda break screen, and it keeps that nice wide shot. And it'll cue up my close-up for whenever the show actually starts to go. So that's a quick look at that stuff. If I head back over to here again, let's just play it one more time and you can see what it looks like. I'll just show myself real quickly, and then I'll press the start of the break. So let's say presentation's just finished and we're going to go into a break, and then I will cut to break start. So there you go, you can see that it cut to the wide angle shot and it faded in the Latte Panda, and then this is what I'll run just during the break as the time goes. People can tune in and see, okay, I've got 22 minutes and 35 seconds to go. And then I can also hide that mouse, you can see there. I'll just put that out of the way. So then the break ends, let's say, and I'm ready to come back. I just press my break end macro, and what happens is it'll fade out of that break screen, and I'll be on the wide and ready to cut in. What I want to show you now really quickly is how you can actually make this happen inside of the ATEM switcher software. So if I just show you my screen again, and I head over to, this is the what I've called ATEM conference, but basically this is the XML file that you can edit. Anytime you want, you can edit the details in here. If you know what you're doing, or if you don't, it's kind of easy enough just to, you can make a copy of this file and just have some fun with it. And you can't really go wrong other than if you just, revert to the previous version. But basically, what you have in here is all of the XML data that the ATEM software reads when it loads up. So I can see in this macro section down at the bottom, there's break start. So that's the same break start as my macro. And if I just take you through that, what I've done is I've taken the audio mixer master out gain, which is basically that main master out slider, and I've set increments as time goes on. So when I hit the macro, what it does is it takes that master gain to 26029, then takes a 2-frame delay, and then takes it down to 20. And you can see these numbers are getting lower and lower and lower with a 2-frame macro sleep delay between each one. And I think that just does a nice little glide down of the audio. Instead of going from loud audio to nothing, it just goes down in a nice way. And then what happens is I set the program input to camera 5, which in my case is the wide angle that I'm using. Program input to 5. So I cut to wide because that's what I want to show in the background. And then I'll preview 4, which in this case is that break screen Latte Panda computer that I showed you before. We take a small delay, and then it does a smooth transition into that break screen. So that's why you can see it just hovering with some opacity over top of the wide shot. So by the end of there, it's about 75% of the way. Is that about right? Yeah, that's about 75% of the way up. You can see that if I hit this break start one more time, you can see that the fader just goes up to about 75%, and it goes nice and slowly, as you can see. I'll hit that one more time. It starts at the bottom and goes nice and slowly all the way up. And then when I hit break end, it does the same, but in reverse. So head back over to that stuff. That's the break. This is the break end macro. So I hit break end, and what it does is the opposite for the audio. It takes it from a low number all the way up to a high number, which brings that audio up. And then, like I just said, it takes the T-bar from where it was at about 75% mark and takes it all the way back down to 0 again. And then what I do is I queue up the close-up camera just to have it in the preview window. So that's a basic look at what I use for getting breaks during a live stream. I think it works pretty well for me. What you can do with this, I think the best thing is to give some context for the viewers at home, so they know how long they have to wait before the next thing happens. So they know whenever the break's going to end in the auditorium, they can come back and watch the rest of the live stream. Other things, it's that it runs off like a simple HTML, CSS website. It has that little bit of JavaScript in there. I'll put a link to that in the descriptions. If you just want to have a look at this, I have that JavaScript up on my GitHub in here. I'll put a link to this in the description, but basically here's the live stream counter, and that's the same thing as I had in that file. You just all you have to do is set a date and a time, and then what this will do is just throw up a timer that counts down. You can do anywhere up to 24 hours in my current example of it. You can just pop that into HTML or CSS website and it'll work really well for you. Other than that, there's not really, I think it works pretty well for me. What it means is that you can't actually really use the switcher during a break because I run the fader to 75%. There's not really much I can do in this switcher during a break. So sometimes if I really need to, I can just run that fader all the way up to 100 and take the Latte Panda onto program, and then I can mess around with previews if I really want to. But I suppose that's one downside, is that it will run your switcher and it'll keep it kind of in the middle of a process, so you can't really use it during breaks. And then sometimes, as a downside, things can change during the day, so you have to come over and go back into the website and change the timer and then hit refresh on the computer. But that's just small little things, and I think it makes for a better way of doing it than jumping into Photoshop and creating a new image and then sending that over to your ATEM and then loading it into the media pool. For me, this works a lot better because it's really easy for me to change it on my laptop or on someone else's laptop. I can just log into my Squarespace website, make a quick change wherever I'm at, and then I can refresh it here and it'll show back up again on the Latte Panda. So I hope you find that useful. If you have a different way of doing this, I would love to see it. I would love to know what you think, if this is way overkill or if you think there's something I'm missing, let me know. It's always good to hear what other people do. Thanks for watching. You can watch more episodes of Show and Tell on our playlist, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Thanks.